यो नः प्रचोदयात्।
First thing actually you need to go to graduate school if you have an undergraduate degree or if you have a master's degree, it is much easier to apply for PhD program. And now in the United States, very few universities offer assistantship to master's students. So most programs are actually for PhD. You can get most of assistantship funding that's available for PhD students. And if you want to go for the higher education, two ways actually you will go from the engineering, commerce background. One is to do MBA and the other one is to do PhD. So the MBA, actually I am familiar with to some extent but not that much. In a sense, the GMAT is one requirement and the TOEFL, the English examination. These two, these days in the internet age, you can find out how to take those exams. But I noticed one thing, the students from Orissa, when they apply, the scores are not very good. That is actually because you do not get opportunity to practice, and just exactly any exam, if you do not practice properly, it is not that easy to secure good scores. So those are certain things, but there are some limitations that if you get the highest score, it is very easy to get some support, because very few students from Orissa or anywhere from India can afford to go to US and pay the high tuition fees. They want also in the business of making money. The educational institutions are actually today in US they are called educational or academic enterprise. So, so the GRE score actually one you need that is required by many good schools or GMAT score for going into management schools to do your PhD. You need GMAT score. Those are the minimum requirement at least to get into the school. And if you want to go for the highest one, like 166 or 167, in that case, both the numbers, then it is a very good chance to getting some financial support. We do not have the American accent. We do not have the understanding of the, because there is a hearing and also communication, writing, all sort of things. We do not get good schools. So, but a little practice on that, you can always make it happen. These are the things, practice and getting out of that. What actually, how will you know these things? The internet is the best source. Getting in there and finding out how to practice those things, there is a lot of demonstration and that will help. And the GPA requirement. GPA is the minimum first class. Any subject you apply, minimum first class is just to get in to the school, just to get the admissions to any engineering school or any, because they know for the Indian situation what is first class means. And then you can have much higher score is required to get in there. The assistantship is the most important challenge, and that actually I would like to address one thing. Is assistantship is to get in assistantship, you have to have high scores and also apply for PhD. In many business schools, they have very good PhD programs. Since you have, most of you will have an MS, then best things to apply for PhD. Then it requires a lot of preparation, and those will help you. Most PhD students are supported. So that means you will get assistantship, tuition and stipend to study there. Okay, how to prepare your application package, that's a challenge. In Odisha, I do not think there is any agency. If you go to Hyderabad or Bangalore, they have agencies helping students to put their package together to be successful. Because we see that, how to have the proper recommendation levels, how to have proper theory scores, and they will also teach you if they have books to practice, all sort of things, GMAT books also to practice. These days, from India, there are very few students are denied visa to go to the United States. And as the VC mentioned, there is a big collaboration going on right now between India and the United States for exchange of students. In that respect also, there are a lot of foundations have been come up. That was by the government of India and government of the United States to cut the red tape. So you can also apply to those things. For example, in science and engineering, they have an Indo-US Science and Technology Forum. They have around $30 million to support the exchange programs. So students going there and studying quite different in the United States. If you miss one day's homework, 1 week's homework, you lost your points. So it is a quite rigorous process if you want to go to a good school. And the support also is not easy. It's like, okay, I got the support online, it is guaranteed. There is nothing guaranteed. To go in there are a lot of different requirements, healthcare requirements, different insurance programs. Those who would like to go, the other thing also, if you want to support yourself, say you have funding, you can take a loan, you want to go, life is very simple. You can afford, you can go to admission, any school almost, any top schools, they would like to take you for master's program.
There are, you don't really choose business administration, you have to choose a field within business administration, a field of concentration, which could be any one of those 6 areas: accounting, finance. The information systems is not so much computer science as in business computer information science. Management science, which is again closer to operations research, the quantitative side of business management. Management refers to the more organizational behavior, the behavioral side of management, and marketing, of course, we all know what that is. A PhD program basically is it prepares you to be to take up a career in academics, to teach and to do research. That's basically it would be almost delusional to believe that you can get a PhD program and come back and work in the industry. There are very core issues involved here. You have to know what is already known, you have to know your field, you have to identify what is relevant, and you have to make the contribution, and you have to know what to teach. You have to be able to communicate what you know to others, which is basically the teaching skills. The basic structure of our program at the College of Business at the University of North Texas. There are some foundation courses that all PhD students, regardless of your concentration, whether you are accounting, finance or marketing, you have to take, and then depending on the concentration, you choose one or the other research track course. Research track will include about 5 to 6 courses within that area. Research track 2 is more relevant to accounting and finance, and research track 1 is more relevant to management and marketing. It is more behavioral. Research track 2 includes more statistics, more econometrics, more mathematical modeling, and so those are the tracks you have to take depending on your field of concentration. And then you have to take about 8 courses in one of those fields with some supporting courses, with some supporting field. Like if you are in finance, your supporting field most likely will be economics. If you are in accounting, it could be economics. If you are in information systems, it could be quantitative methods, and for management and marketing, it could be any behavioral field like psychology, sociology, anthropology even. So depending on the field, depending on the nature of the area, the supporting field could also vary. This is a typical flow, or so to speak, major milestones. You have to complete your coursework. Unlike the European system or even the Indian system, the PhD program there is very structured. About for 2 years, you actually take courses. You go to a class, you attend course, take exam, get a grade. So like taking courses anywhere else, and that would involve about 2 years, about 4 to 6 semesters. So after that, you have to take a qualifying exam. You have to pass an exam, a major comprehensive exam, covering everything that you learned over the last 2 years. Once you pass the qualifying exam, some schools may require you to do an oral qualifying. It's like an interview. So you get up in front of the proposal and you have to defend the proposal. Once the proposal is accepted, then you start writing your exam, your dissertation, and you defend your dissertation. So all that would take anywhere from 4 to 5 years. Typically 4, 4.5, maybe 5. A visual sense of how it will work for a typical student going into a PhD program. So the first 6 semesters, you will be taking courses and preparing for a qualifying exam, and then take pass the qualifying exam. After that, after about the 3rd year, you begin your dissertation. You start writing your proposal, start defending your proposal, and writing your dissertation. Those are all semesters: fall, spring, summer, fall, spring, and summer. So, so if you start in the year of say X, 0, fall, spring and summer, 1 full year, then fall, spring and summer. And by the 3rd year, you are ready to take your final exam. And after that, once you pass the exam, then you start writing your thesis and your dissertation. So you get about 2 years to do that. Overall, 4 to 5 years. That's what it takes. You have to submit all your credentials, all your paperwork to the International Admissions Office. They will make sure that you meet all the requirements before they forward your application to the university's graduate school. The graduate school means the master's or doctoral program. That's a separate level in the university as opposed to the undergraduate program. So the graduate school will make sure that you meet the minimum admission standard. And if you do, they will forward that to our college, to the College of Business. And there, we will send it to particular area. If you applied in finance, we will send it to the area coordinator of the finance department. Just because the graduate school admits you doesn't mean that you get admitted to the College of Business or to a particular department. You have to meet the standards of the department, which is always going to be a little higher than the standards of admission into the graduate program. So be aware that when you read something on the website that it takes this or that to get admitted, those are minimum standards. Just because you meet those standards doesn't guarantee your admission. You have to meet the criteria for the department, which in that particular year could be driven by competition. It could be driven who are you competing against. So a particular year could be an easy one, the next year could be a hard one. So depending on who you are competing with, your admission chances will fluctuate with that. While we are on that subject, let me talk about competition. As an international student, you are now going to be competing with people from China, with people from Middle East. After the Arab Spring, Middle East is a major source of foreign students because now they're trying to flee their own country, they're trying to flee Iran, they're trying to flee Saudi Arabia, they're trying to flee Syria. So all their good students now are looking for admission in the US program. So you will be competing with them. You will be competing with students from South Korea, which is a very good educational system. China, of course, is very good. So you are in competition with the others and you have to beat them in order to secure a position in the program. So in any given year, your application is going to be not compared in absolute terms, it's going to be compared with how else you are doing relative to somebody else who has applied in the program. And the number of seats in the program is also limited. You know, in our college, in the College of Business, we have right now, we have 70 students in our PhD program. And in a particular year, the number of students we admit depends on how many we graduate that year. So if we graduate about 7 or 8 or 10, we will admit about 10 or 7 or 8. So depending on that, if there are 7 good applicants, we will pick the 7 best applicants into the program. I imagine all the other schools pretty much follow the same process. So you are going to be competing. I'm not trying to scare you, I'm trying to give you a more realistic sense of how it works. So you have to be prepared, you have to be willing to go the distance to really make your application more competitive. So you have to have a very solid letter describing your statement of purpose. A lot of schools pay a lot of attention to how you wrote your career goals. So if you want to do a PhD, you have to describe why you're interested in finance or accounting, how do you plan to use that in your future career, and you have to show some that you are interested. You have to tell them that you understand what PhD program really is all about. Because PhD program is not only about getting a job, it's about curiosity, it's about advancing the frontiers of knowledge, it's about doing intellectual curiosity. So you have to be able to demonstrate that you have those qualities so that they are able to, they're able to judge you based on those. Your resume, your vita is going to be important, which pretty much tells them what is your job experience, your academic experience. You have to make sure that you get letters of recommendation from faculty who are willing to write you good letters of recommendation. And that's something that you have to cultivate about a year or two before you start applying. If you think a faculty in this university is going to write you a good letter of recommendation, or they have a good vita, they have good research track record, you want to track them and you want to cultivate those faculty members and start working on them over 2 or 3 years, or at least 1 year ahead of time, so that when time comes they are willing to write letters for you. So make sure you line up those letters of recommendation before you start applying, because sometimes the letters of recommendation get in the way of getting everything done on time. Everything arrives, the letter has not shown up because the professor did not have the time to write your good letter. So make sure you get that process started very, very early in the game. And then you have to have a very competitive GMAT score. Speaking of which, GMAT is for the Graduate Management Admission Test, and you can take them now online. You don't have to go to Calcutta to do that. You can take them. I think you can take them here, right? So you can take them anywhere. In a PhD program, you have, especially in the behavioral areas such as management, marketing, you need a GMAT score of about 620, 630 average, and 680, 700 would be preferable. So the maximum is 800. 800 is the total score. So anywhere from 6 to 700 is the preferred range of the GMAT scores. Of course, you need the TOEFL, the test of English as a foreign language. Take it once. If it doesn't work out, analyze your strength and weakness, and take some time to prepare a little better. Maybe go to a review program or do something. Get books, and go online, try some online testing, and then prepare and take it again. You may have to take it once or twice before you can get an acceptable score. So that's something that you have to work on. Next. A quick overview of you have to have a solid reason for wanting to. PhD is not just a career, it's a lifestyle choice. Once you decide to go do a PhD, there is no going back. You're investing about 4 or 5 years of your life to get a degree. So if you don't like it, you have to know beforehand. You can't go like 1.5 years into the program and say, this is not my thing. So before going into a PhD, you have to know that you're stepping into a career which will define your lifestyle, which is going to be very different than working in the industry or being a self-employed person. So PhD in academic is, like I said again, it's a lifestyle choice. You want to be sure before even you start. You have to know the composition of the people who are doing research in that area. So if you go, I keep repeating finance because that's my area. So if you are interested in finance, you have to know what are the top journals, who are the top researchers. You have to know in your own university who are the people writing articles in what journals, what are their interests. So you have to have some idea. It may take some time. It may take about 2 or 3 years for you to figure that out. But you have to pay attention to getting a sense of the lay of the land within your own research community. I'm just speeding through all this. And once you get into the program, it is very important to maintain and cultivate relationship with your research faculty, the people that they are going to be your future colleagues one day. So you have to know how to basically follow their instructions to basically take care of their requirements. So it is important that you learn to work closely with your research faculty. Absolutely. Before applying, it would be nice if you have publication, but I'm going to be realistic. It is not easy to get publication when you're working in your master's program in this setup. But again, it's worth trying in some local journals. You have to know how to write. Writing is a painful process. You have to teach yourself how to write, and you have to let share your work with somebody who knows how to write, and give them the draft and let them come back with suggestions and incorporate those suggestions. So you have to do that. You have to know how to, spoken English has to be really good, or you have to improve on those things. So these are things I don't have to tell you, but those are very, very important. We sort of ignore those, but you have to take, you have to get an early start in these skill levels. I think that's all I have to say.
Good afternoon, everybody. Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Sahu, my esteemed faculty members, and my fellow members from Odisha Society of Americas and from North America, and my dear fellow students. You heard about all tough jobs, getting admission, studying hard, getting your degree, all the good stuff, and tough stuff. What I will talk today, how is the life there? When you go there, what you face? What are the new things, new environment? Also, after you struggle so hard to get your master's, get your PhD, what are the opportunities? Why you struggle that? But if it doesn't make sense, we'll talk about that. Let me tell you about social security card. Everybody has a one unique number in US. You can be tracked anywhere in US or world through that number. So you will get a social security number where you'll be assigned to that, so you can open your bank account, you can do transactions, get your driving license. That's very critical thing that you will get. So, okay. So you might be thinking, okay, we are studying in English, we know English, and we should be very, we can go and just join the class and able to communicate and do everything well. Let's look at this funny part of it. Though America is English, I will say English, that's American English also, right? So our accent, our things, even our interpretation would be a little different. For example, if you go to a pharmacy, say vitamins, nobody will understand. You have to say vitamins, right? And also US, everything is opposite way. Suppose you say parkway, what do you mean? You park your car in the way, that is parkway. But typically you drive in parkway. And you park in driveway. If you say driveway, then typically people will park their car in that way. So the English is little thing. You might be thinking, like, I know English very well, I able to communicate. There's some little bit accent issue, but little bit kind of the way it is, looks like all the way around. Like football, the things what they play in hand, the handball is called football. Football is called a soccer. So just to have a fun of it. When you learn about, you do an orientation program, then you have to worry about accommodation. And most of the universities, you will have a housing accommodation nearby, or you can stay in the dorm. But typically people like graduate study program and all, they typically 2 rooms, 3 or 2 students you stay. And also the cost of housing vary from place to place. Suppose you are in Northeast universities, the cost is a little higher than you go to the Southern university. So the cost also varies. And also in the campus facility and life in general, typically that university is not like a one college or something. You depending upon where you're joining. So university could have 5,000 to 60,000 students. It's so huge. Some universities are a city by itself. That whole city is because of the university. So it's very, very massive. And another thing that we find very interesting is the community, student community. You see a lot of international students. People from China, people from India. It's not a US major thing. Particularly when you go into graduate program, you see a lot of international students. So you feel very comfortable situation. And also, most of the US universities, particularly research, are the best in the world. Even you go to, forget about Harvard, MIT, Princeton, and those top 10 universities or so, you go to second-tier university, University of California, Texas, and you go to any state university, the quality of education is excellent. Even you will find 2-3 Nobel laureates in those universities. That standard is so good. So you'll be learning a lot of things. You'll be interacting with the best and brightest in academic sector. That's a very fundamental thing. Also what you will do in your study time, what you have to worry about, the course typically semester system and trimester system, and you have to maintain certain certain credits to get full-time student, because as an international student, you cannot go and take only one course because it's very difficult. You have to maintain, suppose in graduate program, you have to maintain 9 credits. Also, there are a lot of, so one thing is if you get an assistantship, scholarship is very good. So at least your tuition, your living expense is taken care by university. So you don't have to cost your parents, or you have to worry about the finance. But even if you don't get, typically what you can go to the universities, and typically after a semester, so particularly if you do very well, your GPA is very good, you can talk to various professors, do some research work with them, you can get some financial help. There's also opportunity to work in the on-campus, in the library and other areas, so you can make some cost out of it. You don't have to worry about the whole expense, bear the whole expense. So those are some opportunities there, but it's up to you how you do, how you interact, how you take care of those, take the opportunity of that. And it's a very important, healthcare is very, very expensive in US. So never lose your healthcare. Typically if you get your assistantship, your healthcare is covered. But suppose you are paying yourself, the cost and all that, you have to ensure your healthcare is covered. Healthcare is very expensive. Suppose you have some problem, health problem or something, immediately they will take to hospital. And you will get the best facility, best medical care, but also highest expensive kind of things. So unless you have insurance, you can go bankrupt. So make sure your health insurance there. But typically when you get your degree, you get 2 degrees. Okay? 1 degree your study of academic, your area of study, another will get a degree in cooking. Because there you have to do cook by yourself. There's no like a servant or no mom, dad is there helping you to have your food, so you have to cook yourself. So no matter what you do, you'll always get double degree in US when you do your master's program. Okay? That's a good thing. You know, before you go, actually you can get a 1-year practical training visa. So you can go and work in any company after your studies with a practical training visa. But if you want to reside in North America for a longer time, you have to go either E1 or E2. So E1 is primarily people in teaching, PhD degree, some experience in academics. You can get into that E1 program where your residency, permanent residency, you can get much quicker. The other option, particularly if you go to corporate opportunity, general job with master's degree, you have to go through E2 visa process. In E2 visa process, again, you have to, the company who hired you will sponsor you, and then in the process you will get your green cards. It's called green card, which is permanent residency, and there actually it takes a little longer than going through E1 actually. The time, because what US has, there's a restriction on the visa per country. So China, India are the country, Philippines are the country where it's a very backlog. Like the number of visa is fixed, but number of people are more. So it is a very backlog. So it takes about, for even E1, probably it will take about 2 to 3 years to get your permanent residency. But if you're E2, it could be 5-6 years in that kind of way. But again, when you are in that visa, you have proper status, proper things. So make sure during your stay in US, either student or in your work employment, stay in your status. This is very, very important. So don't lose your immigration status. The limit is the sky. I mean, if you are good, you can grow anywhere you want. There is no issue like you will get promotion when your hair go gray. That's not the case. If you are bright, you can go to the top very soon. So if you are good, if you are bright, you want to work hard, sky is the limit, and less than what is your passion, what you like. So then you absolutely do it. Thank you very much.
So there was a lot of talk about graduate admissions, how to come to USA and all that. I thought the topic of research collaboration with the faculty was not touched, so I should raise that point here. Now, I am department chair, I do not know the rules, so when I heard that Durga and Niranjan are going to talk about it, I know they were the graduate advisors, and they can do a better job than I can. In fact, I did not know that they revised the GID score to be whatever. I still was thinking that 800. See, it's always nice to have graduate advisors to do the analytics. So whatever they said, everything is fine, except one thing. Niranjan, he comes from a very different background, so he's most likely you will end up in teaching. And that is not true in engineering or computer science, where I come from. Most of our students, PhD students, they go for industry. In fact, 95% of our PhD graduates, they go for industry, research and development. Only about 5% they go to academia. It is very, very tough to get into academia. It is highly competitive. But we make sure that we pay them well. Okay? So we also match their salaries in academia with those in universities. So it's, but there are some motivated people graduating from very top-class school. They're the only ones who can get in, to academia. When I say academia, it is all PhD graduate school. Now, also a difference in terms of India is, like here, the value of higher education, is much less compared to what it is in America. In engineering, for example, somebody with a bachelor's degree will earn 60 to 70K per year on an average, whereas a master's will earn 80 to 90K, a PhD will be 120 plus. So even if you go to industry, there is that difference. Multiply that salary by 30 years or whatever, and you can see the difference. So it is just not your motivation or the aspiration for higher studies that motivates students. So there is also financial gain. And those who do PhD, go to industry, their jobs are much more secure, they are much more stable and much more satisfying. If the industry hires anybody, they'll hire the bachelor's first, their masters and their PhDs. So it always pays, to do a PhD there. Now, what I really want to talk about is the collaboration in research with the faculty. We have excellent faculty in India. Unfortunately, the system of education in India, there are lots of flaws for which we do not have proper reward system to the faculty who does very good research, who really works very hard, and the difference between somebody working very hard, very well known in the research community, and somebody not doing so well, there is hardly any difference. Whereas in America, the universities, they operate more like industry, and there is a very, very good reward system that goes into the academia, which is not present here. So my point is that given the same facilities, the same academic environment, the faculty here will do much better than what an average faculty does in this. And we have seen that. Any Indian you take, any professor, they are always at the top in US. Now, given that, what can we do? I shall tell you a few things that we have done here. About 10 years back or 12 years back, we started, and this is more for information technology or computer science that I come from. So we started a society here in Odisha called Odisha Information Technology Society, OITS. And Professor Sudarshan Padi, who is sitting here, he was also president of that for some time. Through OITS, we have arranged international conference every year for the last 10 years. Unfortunately, we have not been doing that for the last 1 or 2 years, and we invite all the faculty from, particularly colleges from Odisha to come there and listen to our talks and all that. So that's kind of educating them every year, and they meet also. I make sure, actually, I have a lot of Oriya PhD students, my students, my family from Odisha. In terms of PhD is very big. They all come. This is a good meeting place. Into this car. It used to be a good meeting place, and Buddha also. So I think we will try to revive that. On top of it, also what I did is about 5-6 years back, I started a workshop under the banner of OITS. The first workshop was held in the university, in computer science department, and Professor Padi organized that. And that was a week-long workshop on a particular subject in computer science. And we had about 60, 70 faculty members from all the private colleges and attending even from CET and all. So always they came. I think second time I did it in just 2 years back in the campus. Again, it was a week-long subject, and I gave about 30 lectures or so, and it was again attended by almost all the faculty. So what we do through ITS, and I have single-handedly also taken over, like giving these frequent workshops and motivating the faculty here for higher studies and research. And in fact, today morning I was in IIIT, the dean of IIIT, Ajit Das, actually he was a student in the first workshop. And so there where he said that I got the motivation, sir, to go for masters, go for PhD, and now he's getting that tonight. So it's very, very satisfying to see, that we can really improve the entire education system. Now, Professor Sahu was there actually 2 years back, or maybe 1.5 years back at OSA convention in San Francisco, and we had a very lively discussion. Professor Sahu was there, and the Wilson College PC was there, and a lot of educationists. And Professor Sahu said that if you can come and spend some time in the university campus, then we will provide you accommodation, blah, blah, blah. So we told him that, look, it's just not possible for us, because like someone said, Sukant said, my students, 95% of the students go to industry. First of all, because they cannot compete to get into very good, PhD ranking schools in academia. Not only that, they're very scared. They have seen how much, how hard I do with the job. I've applied for research grant, published papers, and all that thing. Whereas in industry, the job is much simpler there. Now, we decided that we can continue on, teaching here. But you can say to faculty every year to us, and for 1 year, we will be very happy to train them in research. They can work with our students. And I know that it is not applicable to science or or arts, but I know that in computer science, I know we will faculty members here, and I'll be glad to take any one of them. But the university has to spend money and send them, because we cannot just take anyone, after our research, unless they have the necessary background. And Professor Sao had said that he would go back and, look into it. So I was very, very glad to hear that he said he's having 25 back. I'm sending some of you to, outside universities, at least for 6 months. Anything less than 6 months is not good enough. So if you come there, we'll open our labs, free of cost. You can work with our students and absolutely without any problem. Now, and again in next summer, I'm giving probably a 2.5 days workshop under YTS, so they will apply for in Silicon, for a workshop on network computing. So we are individually always working with the faculty members here, to improve them. And there's a lot of, the people are very receptive, so there's absolutely no problem. But I want the administration here really to spend money and send the faculty there. And there are also a lot of opportunities in the government of India, apply for scholarship, and then come there, and our door is always open for you. Now, I just want to close again by saying that, we have 40% vacancy in IITs, in the faculty division. So the shortage of PhDs, is particularly in IT area and computer science, is going to hit very hard to India. Now, all the companies, Cisco, Intel, and all, they are really sending their research teams. They are developing their research organization here. There will be a time in 5 years when they will need PhDs, lots of PhDs. They will not find them here. So probably we will have to give H1 visa to Chinese, people from China, and bring them here. And so the perception about PhD has to change. I think for the system overall, it is not our individual fault or your fault, but I think the system really needs a change. Okay. Thank you very much. I would, as ex-president, current president, Annapurna Pandey, dear brothers and sisters in Odisha, as president of the Odisha Society of the Americans, I would like to wish you all a joyous and enjoyable holiday season and a happy new year. I am so glad that the Vice Chancellor of Utkal University, Professor Prashant Kumar Sahu, has agreed to inaugurate this historic gathering of some eminent academics and professionals from the OSA who are here to share their expertise in various fields with you, the aspiring postgraduate and professional students. We, the OSA executives, are so happy that we can take this initiative to connect with you all, and I am grateful to Professor Shamson Maharana, who has been instrumental in organizing this gathering on the campus. This is just the beginning, and we would like to continue this kind of get-together at least twice a year in various parts of Odisha. We live in a world where knowledge is power, and the more knowledge you have, the better off you are going to be in this globalized world. I thank the OSA presenters and participants who are from Odisha and are privileged to have the opportunity to specialize in various fields, are here to share their own skills and knowledge with the brothers and sisters of Odisha who will use that in order to advance their own lives. I wish you all a very productive afternoon with warmest regards, Annapurna Pandey, President, the Odisha Society Environmentalists. Thank you.